Hi friends, today we are gonna make this granny square fringe halter top for an American girl. I'm so excited. I think it turned out so cute. I love it. You can make it for any size of doll because it ties in the back. So you could have more space here if your doll was bigger, or it could even be scrunched tighter. We've just tied it in a bow here, and then here it's just tied in a knot. It's super easy. We're only gonna use like double crochet, single crochet is all you need to know to make this halter top. And your doll, you can even wear it as a dress if you wanted to. I think it would look super cute with like some jeans. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So here's what the halter top looks like when it's not on the doll. It's just one flat piece. And like I said, you can adjust it to fit your doll. You can make these straps longer or shorter if you wanted to. Okay, so I am using yarn from the Dollar Tree today. This is the Crafter Square brand. It's an acrylic. I've looked before. I don't think it says what size it is, but if I had to guess, I would say it's in between a 3 and a 4. It's pretty similar to like the Premier brand as far as thickness goes, but it would definitely be a lighter 4 or maybe even a 3. And I'm going to use the recommended hook size that it asks for, which is a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. So I'm also using my crochet hook from the Dollar Tree. So you could do this project for, you know, less than $3 if you didn't have a crochet hook already. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and start with our first granny square. I'm gonna show you how to do the magic loop. If you don't get it or feel like it's too complicated, it's okay. I'll show you how to chain after I show you how to do the magic loop. But if you've never done it before, just try it. I promise it'll be, once you get it, it'll be so helpful in so many projects. So, but if you can't get it, don't stop watching the video if you're like you can't do this project. So to start off with the magic loop, I take my yarn and I place it on my hand, the tail end towards the bottom of my hand, and I like to take my pinker finger and my thumb and kind of hold it in place as I'm wrapping it, and then I wrap it diagonal, so I'm gonna make an X as I go and then back across. So I have an X on one side, and then I'll go ahead and hook this side again with my pinky and my thumb. So there's an X on this side and 2 parallel lines on this side. So that's how you set it up. Then you're gonna take your crochet hook and go under this first layer of yarn. So I will let it go. We'll start over. So hold your yarn, wrap around, make an X, hold it tight, flip over 2 parallel lines, go under the first one, and then grab that second one, the back one, and pull it forward. Again, I let go of that, so you might want to hold on to it tight so it doesn't come undone. Go under, grab that yarn, and then pull it forward and twist at the same time. So you have it pulled forward and twisted, and then you're gonna go back and grab that back piece of yarn and then just pull it through and kind of turn your hand as you go. So there's your loop. If you wanna watch that again, back it up. And so as you can see, if you pull this tail end, it'll tighten your loop, or if you just like pull on your loop, it'll make it bigger. So then we're gonna work our crochet into this loop. So to start my granny square, I'm gonna chain 2, and then I will work double crochets into this section, or into my circle. Okay, so if you don't want to do the magic circle, just go ahead and start with a slip knot. So to do a slip knot, make a loop, and then take that loop and twist it. Go through the loop and grab the working yarn and pull it. And then slide that onto your hook. And we're gonna go ahead and chain. So this is our tail end, this is our working yarn. We're gonna chain with our working yarn 4. So to do that, you wrap your yarn around your crochet hook and pull through. Then so that's 1 chain. This will be 2, 3, 4. Okay, so once you have 4, you're gonna go into your first chain that you did and simply do a slip stitch. So you yarn over and pull through both loops. And that right there will create a circle or a loop to begin your granny square. And then from here, you'll just chain 2 and then work the rest of your crochets into the center of the circle. So to do a double crochet, I'm going to yarn over, then I will insert my hook into my loop. I will yarn over again, and then I will come out of that loop. So there are 3 loops on my hook, okay? And then I'm going to yarn over again. So you kind of have to hold everything really tight to do this. And then I will pull through just 2 loops, and then there'll be 2 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2 more loops. So that was 1 double crochet. I'll do it with you again. Yarn over, insert into your circle, yarn over, pull that loop out. You have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, pull through 2, then there are 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So that chain 2 we did is going to count as our first your first double crochet, and we're going to call these clusters. So there's our first cluster, and then we're going to make our corners. I'll show you one that's already done. So it's almost like a petal. So this is 1. So now we're going to chain 2 right here to make this petal. So I'll go ahead and chain 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to make another petal. So I'm going to start again with a double crochet. So yarn over, go into that loop, yarn over, come out, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, pull through 2, come out, there are 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So there's 1, and we're just going to repeat that. So we again want 3 double crochets here to make our petal or our cluster of our granny square. So there's 2, and then this will be our 3rd one. And as you work, if your loop is too big and it's like getting in your way, you can kind of pull it as you go, and then it will tighten up. Or you can leave it super loose and kind of almost work in a line and then pull it later as you work your way. So that was my first corner. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my next corner. So again, chain 2, 1, 2, and then you guessed it, we're going to do 3 double crochets into our loop. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and we've almost created, we just need 1 more side to complete our granny square. So this is our corner, chain 2, and then do 3 more half double crochets. Okay, and then we'll just finish off with our last corner, so chain 2. And here you can go ahead and tighten up your granny square. And that's really what the benefit of doing the magic ring or the magic loop is you can get it so tight where if you did the chain method to begin, it still works, but you can't get it as tight as you can with the magic loop. So now we're just going to complete this granny square. So this is the chain 2 that we did to begin with. So I'm going to go in this space above it and just do a slip stitch. To do a slip stitch, you just pull through everything. So that was a slip stitch, and now I'm just going to chain 1, and I will cut this part off, and then once I do that, I can just pull that out, and then I'll pull this tight and it will create a knot, so nothing's gonna come undone. So if you wanted to do your granny square without switching colors, you wouldn't have to cut it off. But I'm gonna go ahead and change colors now. So I'm going to grab my blue color, and I'm going to start with a slip knot. So slip knot, you take your yarn, you kind of make a loop, if you will, and then twist your loop, and then grab not your tail end, but the working part of your yarn and pull it through that loop. And then you can just slide it onto your crochet hook. And then you can literally start wherever you want. I'm just gonna pick one of these corners and attach it there. And we will worry about these tail ends later. So we're gonna start this first stitch will be a chain 2, kind of like we did with the pink row, and then we're ready to do our double crochet. So it's the same pattern. We'll just do clusters of 3 double crochets, and I'm going to scoot that over. Okay, so there's one cluster, and now since I'm on the corner, I'm going to do a corner here. So if we look at our other granny square, I would be right here at this point, so I'm going to chain 2 to get this corner. So here's 1, 2, so now I'm going back into the same space, which is the corner of my pink one, and we will do a cluster of double crochets. Sometimes clusters are considered all joined together, so if you're really particular about crochet terminology, don't be. Okay, so you can see that's our corner. So now right here, we're not gonna do a corner, so there is no chaining right here for this space. So we're just gonna jump into this next space you have without chaining. Just start it off with your double crochet. So we're only gonna chain in the quarters for this round. There's 2, and here will be 3. Okay, so there's that part, and then we'll go ahead and chain 2 because this is our corner right here. Okay, and we did a double crochet after that. We'll go ahead and do 3 of them. All right, so you kind of understand what we're doing right here. Again, this part right here, from this point to this point, we don't need to chain. So we'll just jump over here and do another 3 double crochets. And then you'll work your way around the square doing what we've been doing. So I'll meet you when I'm ready to connect right here. So I'm there. And all I'm gonna do is find that stitch at the top of my chain 2 where I started. And again, I will just slip stitch through, and then I will finish it off the same way by doing a chain and then just cutting off that chain and making a knot. So I've cut it off, and then I'll just pull out that part and then make sure my knot is nice and tight. Okay, so there is one granny square down. For this project, you're gonna need to make 5. And then let's go ahead and work in our tail ends. Okay, so to work in your tail ends, I would recommend using a sewing needle. They do make yarn needles, which are essentially needles designed for working with yarn. So they're not pointy or they're not sharp, and they are really easy to thread, but they're not great at getting in between the yarn strands, which is where I want to hide my yarn. So I'm going to use an actual sewing needle, which if I were to poke myself, it would hurt, so I'm not going to. But we'll go ahead and thread it, and then I will work in one tail end just to show you how to do it. And to get my yarn to actually be greater if I had a little bit bigger of a sewing needle, but this is the only one I can find right now. But to get mine to thread, I just pinch it. And if you get it too fray and you can't get it to thread, just go ahead and snip off the end and then start fresh, and then it will thread better. So, because I snipped it off there, it went through better. Okay, and then once you have it on your yarn, you can kind of stick it in between the yarn, but like I said, I want to get in between the yarn, so like not in between the different strands, but between the actual yarn. And I'll go through one direction and pull through, and then go back the other direction. And then I like to go back the other direction just one more time, and then that way you will make sure that it's absolutely not coming undone. There we go. And then that should be enough. So like some of these longer ones, it's great because then I can bend my needle and I'll have room to work, but I don't have to weave the whole entire end of the yarn in. I can just snip it off once I'm sure it's secure. So that would be how you weave in your tails. So go ahead and do that on all your granny squares. We're gonna need 5 for this project, so that's a lot of weaving in your tails. Okay, so once you have all of your 5 granny squares made and your tails weaved in, now begins the fun part. So what we're gonna do is we are going to lay them out so we don't get confused, face up, and you can tell the difference between the face up and the face down by the defined stitches. So you want the stitches facing up, and we're going to make a W or an M, if you will. So if I were to draw an M, that would be how I would lay out my granny squares. And then you can leave them laid out and just pick them up one at a time and pinch them together as we connect them together. Okay, and there are several ways that you could connect them together. You could slip stitch them, you could single crochet, or you could actually just weave them together with that yarn needle I was talking about. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna start in the corner over here, and I will just pull through until I get towards the end, and I'm just gonna make a knots, and then I will weave this. We'll worry about this tail end later. So once you get them attached, then I'm just gonna go in the back loops only with that yarn needle. So if I were crocheting normally, there's 2 stitches here and you would go through both of them. Just grab the back end of this one, and I guess it would technically be the front end of this one, and pull through those. Okay, and then just kind of work your way along. So we're gonna make a, so once you've gone through, then just move to the next one. And I think I weaved my tail end right here, so that's what that extra piece of yarn is. But so the back end, and then the front end of this one, and then you can see it's making stitches as I go along. So the back loop, and then the front loop of this one. So I guess this would be, I think you call this a whip stitch. And this is just one method to tie your granny squares together. If you want to single crochet them together, you can if you would like. Okay, and then I just went into that first chain of these tail ends. And then once I get to this point, I'm gonna go through this whole loop. And again, I will just tie a knot. So I went through that loop and then through this loop. I'll pull that out, and then everything is tight. So if I lay this back down, that's one side of my V. And if you didn't leave enough yarn, you could go ahead, because we just tied this, you could cut this off and then grab a new strand to work on your next one. Or if you had plenty of yarn, just go ahead and keep using it. So I've laid it back down so I know where my pattern is, and then I'm going to pinch these two together, and then again I'll start in this hole right here and I'll make another knot just as I pull through. So those are all, we're all connected on the ends, but don't get confused about which way you're going. Leave it pinched. And then again, we'll just do our whip stitch through the back loop of this one and the front loop of this one. Pull it through and then grab it again. So we're just gonna repeat this for all the way across the granny squares. So, and then once you get to the end, again, we've gone through that first chain of these corners, and then we'll just go ahead, oops, my yarn came undone, or my needle came off my yarn, but I can still just go ahead and tie it even though I no longer have my needle. So go through the corner loop through there, and then bring your yarn through and make a knot. Okay, and then again, lay your yarn or your granny squares out in your M. And I still have enough yarn that again, I can just keep continuing to use the same piece of yarn. So I'll lay it out, I'll realize where I'm going, I'll pinch these two together, and then I'll go through the corners here. So go through, and then on your way back, so go through this loop and just tie it tight so you know it's not coming undone. And then you know what to do, just keep on doing what we've been doing and finish it off just the same as you have done all the other ones. So make a loop and then go through it, pull that tight and make a knot. Lay it out flat again so you know what you're doing. Now this part, see, it might get kind of confusing. You gotta think about it, lay it out. Oh, I want it to be an M. Then pinch them together, and then you can go ahead and continue. So start again with that loop knot here. Pull it tight, and then just whip stitch back loop to front loop all the way across. All right, and then once you get to the end, go ahead and finish it off the way we've been doing it. So make that loop knot, pull through, and pull that tight. Then we'll lay it out, make sure we did it right. Looks like an M this way, looks like a W this way. And then while I have my yarn attached to my needle, you can kind of adjust that knot and spread it out. But I'm just gonna take this and weave it through this tail end. Weave the tail end through while I have it attached, or you can switch back to your other sewing needle, which will just be less likely to come undone if you can get in between the individual pieces. So I'll go ahead and do that for my last one. And go ahead and weave the tail end where you started with a knot on the other side as well. And once you got that done, this is what it should look like. Now we're ready to start on our straps. Okay, so to do that, I'm gonna take my contrasting color. I'm gonna take and start with a slip knot, put it on my hook, and this is what you wanna pay attention to. So we want it to be an M, and then start in the corner of that M. So I have my slip knot on my hook, and then I am just going to slip knot to the corner. So here's again my M, here's the corner, and I'm gonna go ahead and chain about 10. So 1, 2, okay, so here's what 10 looks like. I actually want it to be longer, so I'm gonna go ahead and chain 10 more, so a total chain of 20. Okay, so that's what my chain of 20 looks like, and if I fold it back this way, it's about the length of 2 granny squares, so that's about what I'm shooting for. And then you want to make sure that your chain is not twisted, that it is straight, so you kind of have to adjust it and make sure nothing is twisted. And then what I'm going to do, if you can see here, I'm going to go in the second chain in the hook, so the loop around the hook doesn't count. This right here, let's get my needle, this will be the first chain from the hook, and this is going to be the second. So I'm going to go in there and just do a single crochet, which I don't think we have done yet in this video. So to do a single crochet, you insert into the loop without yarning over first, and then once you're in the loop, you yarn over and you pull out of the loop. There are 2 loops on the hook, and you yarn over again and pull through 2 loops. So that was a single crochet. We're going to do that all the way around our chain, and remember not to get it twisted. I'll do one more single crochet with you just to make sure you got it. So you go into the loop, you yarn over, and you come out of the loop. 2 loops are on your hook, you yarn over, and then you pull through those 2 loops. So you're going to work that all the way down our chain. Okay, and then once you get close back to your granny square, you'll finish up your last single crochet, and then you're going to keep working. So if this was like a continuous line, you'll just do single crochets into every stitch here. So start by going just 1 around the corner here, boom, and then go into these stitches above your clusters here, and just work single crochets all the way across, and that's going to give it kind of like a decorative look. And also it'll help to flatten out your granny squares, because right now if you kind of like pull them up, they kind of fold together in a funky way, but as we work stitches across here, it will help to flatten them out. So we're almost to that seam. So just do 1 stitch on this granny square in that corner. Boom, there's 1, and then just hop right on over to the next one. Boom, there's 2, and then again go in the stitches above your clusters, and I'll meet you once I'm at this corner. So once you're here, go ahead and go into your corner stitch and do a single crochet. And now this part right here is going to be the part that goes around the neck strap. So I want that strap to be, because I want to be able to like tie it, so I want it to be a little bit longer than this one is. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 25. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through 25 times. I'll meet you when I have that done. Okay, so this is what 25 looks like. And if you, I mean, it's going to go up this way to tie, but if you pull it across, it is about the length of 3 granny squares. So that's what we're going for. Again, make sure that you don't have it twisted in any way, which I have a little bit wider stitches in some places, so it looks funny, but I don't have any twists. And then we're going to do the same thing we did with this tail end. So we will start, I'll show you again. So this is the first chain from the hook. This will be the second. That's where we're going to start with a single crochet. So no yarning over. Just go right into that, yarn over after you've gone, pull out of that loop, 2 loops on the hook, and yarn over again and pull through those. So I'll go all the way back until you've reached here with single crochets. Once you've made it back, you'll go ahead and go into that corner chain space and do a single crochet, and there you have your neck strap completed. And then we'll just continue doing this decorative stitch, so single crochets into every stitch, and then I'll meet you right here to show you what to do in this V part. So once you've made it to the V part, you'll see that we have 3 corner stitches all joining together. And because I don't want it to be super gappy, I'm gonna go ahead and skip this V space and just go into the one that is in the center, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna go in here with a single crochet. Ta-da! And I'm actually gonna do 2 single crochets into that space. Ta-da! So that's what that looks like. And then again, I'm gonna skip this one, but I'm just gonna start again at the top of these stitches with single crochets. And then I'll work my way to the top. And once I'm there, I'm gonna go into that corner chain space and just do a single crochet. And then I'm gonna get ready for my chain. So there's that, and then I can start chaining. Remember, I'm gonna chain 25. If you want your straps to be longer, you can make them longer or shorter. Try it on your doll and see how it looks. So I'm gonna do 25. So there's my 25. Again, if I pull it across this way, it covers 3 granny squares, but just to make sure you don't twist anything when you're seeing how long it is. And then we'll repeat what we repeated on the other side. So go in the second chain from the hook and work your way back with single crochets into every single stitch. Once you've made it back, finish up with that last stitch in your tie, and then again go into that corner chain space and do a single crochet, and then just work your way into every stitch across the top until we get to this corner, and then we'll go ahead and work the other strap over there. Okay, and then go into the corner stitch and then chain 20. And then make sure that you haven't twisted your chain, and then go into that the second stitch from the hook with the single crochet, and then work your way back. And then to finish it off, go into that chain corner space again, and go ahead and finish it off with that single crochet, and then we'll chain one and pull it all the way through after you cut it off. And if you were gonna do fringes in the same color, you wouldn't have to weave your tail ends in. And you would also want to, where you cut it off, make it the length of your fringes. Okay, so this is what our halter top looks like as of right now. So here's how it's gonna fit on my doll. So you can see, tie it in the back there. You even almost have enough room if you stretch these tight to make like a bow, or you could just leave it like that, and then just, you don't want to tie it too tight because you'll never get that undone. And then here's the back. Again, you could tie it in a bow if you wanted, or just like that. And then look how cute that is, guys. Okay, I'm gonna add the fringes. Okay, for my fringes, I'm gonna do them in both colors. You can do them in one or even another contrasting color. And I've just taken them, measured about 6 inches. You don't actually have to measure, just kind of eyeball. And then just cut a whole bunch of those for your fringe. So once you got a cut, we're gonna go ahead and attach them to our halter top. So I'm gonna take both of my colors, and I'm gonna fold them in half. And then I'm gonna take my crochet hook and I'm gonna go through these stitches, and then I will pull both of them through like so. And then I'll have a loop, and then you can either just take your crochet hook. It might actually be better, it would work if I had a bigger crochet hook, or you could just use your fingers and kind of pull them through and make them all snug, and then just do that all the way along. Okay, so here I have sized up a crochet hook size to make it easier. I'll pull those through and then pull. It's still kind of tricky. We could even go with a bigger one, or just make sure you get them all. You really can just do it with your fingers. And see what I did here is I only got one of those loops. So what I want to do is, so I don't have gaps like that, is to go through both of the stitches. So let me get this off. Okay, so when you pull your crochet loop or your crochet hook through, make sure you go through both of those loops, and then pull your yarn through. See that loop, and then just pull the rest of it through. And then later, see, these are not even, but we can go through and kind of trim them to make them even. So just keep doing that all the way along. Once you get to these spaces, you can just go through this whole loop to pull it through. So I've almost got all of my fringe on my halter top, and it's looking so cute. I'm just gonna show you how I'm gonna hide this tail end with this very last stitch. So on this corner part, just go in and pull this through like you would with every other one, and then grab your tail end and pull it through with the rest of them. So there's a lot going on here, but then just pull all that together and kind of hide. That way you don't have to weave in that end, which you could if you wanted to. And then you can snip that off. I'm gonna go ahead and even out some of my unevenness too, because when I cut my strips, I just kind of didn't do it super even, but I kind of like this uneven shaggy look, but I'm just gonna go along and maybe cut this one off and some of these ones that are extra long, but I'm not gonna do it like, I'm not gonna draw a line and cut all of these off because I do kind of want like the just random shag look. So I'm gonna trim here, and like I said, maybe right here, maybe right here, and then maybe I'll try it on and just see if anything else sticks out and looks like totally funny. But thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope that you love your halter top. I think this project is one of my favorites. I'm gonna try some more fringe projects coming up, maybe with like a dress or just a plain crop top. So be sure to subscribe and like this video. Thanks guys.